What is up, guys? So the Elseworlds Arrowverse crossover event was jam-packed with Batman references, at least the second part, and I think that this episode alone has more references to Batman than any other episode of the Arrowverse combined. And I would know I have made references to Batman videos in the past. They're actually my most popular uploads. They're not really breaking down the reference, they're just showing them, and I will make a part 2 to that, including all the references in Elseworlds, as well as all the references between when I posted that and now. But in this video, I really wanted to go over every single reference to Batman in the Elseworlds crossover. References ranging from villains, locations, references to other Batman-related media, Batman items, and of course, Batman name drops. This is actually the first episode of the Arrowverse ever to name drop Batman. He's been referenced before, Bruce Wayne has been name dropped before, but Batman has not. But then this episode comes around and name drops him like 40 times, and I'm not even exaggerating. So some characters that mention Batman are Oliver Queen, who thinks of him as this urban legend created by the GCPD to scare criminals, and then Barry Allen also mentioned him as he actually believes in the Batman, and Cara Danvers actually mentioned Batman as her cousin's friend. She also mentioned Bruce Wayne. Oliver also mentioned Bruce Wayne. They all really mentioned Bruce Wayne. Kate Kane says that Bruce Wayne is her cousin, and Oliver earlier says that Batman and Bruce Wayne have both left Gotham 3 years ago. So Batman and Bruce Wayne both mentioned quite a lot in this crossover, with Batman having his first ever name drop in the Arrowverse. So no actual villains appear, no actual Batman-centric villains appear. There were some Gotham City villains, but none of them are really specific to Batman. So in terms of Batman's Rogues Gallery, there were a bunch of references to a lot of his villains. So there was this one scene when Oliver, who is at this point the Flash, and John Diggle are walking into Arkham Asylum, and they pass a bunch of cells. If you look closely at the names, you can see some Batman villains, namely Isley P, which is Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, Cobblepot O, which is Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, Nigma E, which is Edward Nigma, aka the Riddler, and Carlo B, which is Basile Carlo, aka Clayface. If you're wondering who the last person is, that is Guggenheim M, which is Mark Guggenheim, the showrunner for the first 6 seasons of Arrow. A little bit later in the episode, you see Mr. Freeze's wife, Nora Freeze, which is already a reference to the Batman villain, looking through a villain accessory storage room, which it seems like that is for her husband's gun. She finds it, and it is labeled Freeze V, which is Victor Freeze, aka Mr. Freeze. In the same room, there are a bunch of villain accessories, such as Captain Boomerang's boomerang, which is indicating that Captain Boomerang has gone up against Batman in the past in the Arrowverse, as well as Riddler's cane, the Penguin's umbrella, and Hugo Strange's sunglasses, as well as Bane's mask. So Bane's mask is not actually resembled to the one in the comics. It resembles the mask from The Dark Knight Rises, which is a reference to The Dark Knight Rises as well. So right after this, Nora Freeze uses the gun to fight Killer Frost. Killer Frost asks for backup, which is when the Green Arrow and the Flash show up. The Flash, who is now Oliver Queen, not really used to his powers, throws a lightning bolt and completely misses his target, and instead hits a canister of fear toxin, which is Scarecrow's signature weapon. Also, this fear toxin is labeled Crane J, which is Jonathan Crane, aka the Scarecrow. When Oliver, Kara, and Barry got to Gotham City initially, they uncovered the bat signal. Then in a fight later between Batwoman and Psycho Pirate, as well as a bunch of other inmates who escaped Arkham Asylum, she used the grapple hook, which was also mentioned earlier when Kate wanted to compare Batman's grapple hook with Green Arrow's, and also she used the Batarang. Then later, after this whole Arkham Asylum debacle ended, Barry asked Batwoman if a ride in the Batmobile is out of the question. So in this crossover, one Bat family member showed up, which is Batwoman, aka Kate Kane, who made her big debut setting up her spin-off show. And right after she showed up, a little bit after she showed up, she offered a password, the Wi-Fi password specifically, to the Wayne Enterprises, to Oliver Queen, Barry Allen, and Kara Danvers, and that password was Alfred, and I don't think I need to explain who that is. There was also a mention of a character named Vesper Fairchild, who in the comics was a not-so-long-lasting love interest to Bruce Wayne. Also, she is a radio host, which is mentioned in the episode. This episode, this Elseworlds crossover, did include 3 Batman-related locations that I should go over. Those locations are obviously Gotham City, which the second part of the Elseworlds crossover primarily took place in, as well as 2 locations inside of Gotham City, Arkham Asylum and Wayne Enterprises. Like I said earlier, Bane's mask, which resembles more the Dark Knight Rises mask than the comics. This is obviously a reference to the Dark Knight Rises. Another reference to the Dark Knight Rises, more specifically the Dark Knight trilogy, was one cop referred to the street that Oliver, Barry, and Kara were on as Nolan/Burton Street. This is a reference to the director Christopher Nolan, who is the director of the Dark Knight trilogy, as well as Tim Burton, who is the director of Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. Another reference to another Batman media was when Supergirl was talking to Kate Kane in the top of the Wayne Enterprises tower. She saw a Shakespeare bust in a box. This is a reference to the 1966 Batman TV show when they used that bust to open the door to the Batcave. The Gotham City portion of this crossover was primarily shot in Chicago. The reason this is a reference is because the Dark Knight trilogy's Gotham City was also shot in Chicago, and in the crossover, the 2 cities, the Gotham City in the Arrowverse and the Gotham City in the Dark Knight trilogy, definitely feel very similar. So in the second part of the crossover, when Kara and Kate Kane were talking, Kara mentioned that her cousin Superman is friends with Kate Kane's cousin Batman, and she actually corrected herself, and instead of saying friends, she said frenemies. This is not only a reference to obviously Superman and Batman's rocky relationship in basically every form of media they've ever been portrayed in, at least in the beginning when they first meet, but also a reference to another reference back in Supergirl Season 2 Episode 20, when Winshot was talking about Superman and Batman. Although he didn't name drop Batman, he did definitely signal Batman, putting his finger on his head, obviously copying the ears that Batman has. He mentioned their relationship as frenemies. So those are all the Batman references that I was able to find in Elseworlds. If you want to see my Elseworlds reviews, links will be in the top right corner of the video. But as for this video, if you liked it, let me know in the comments down below, as well as if I missed any Batman references in this crossover, as well as any other references in the crossover that I might have missed in my reviews. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.